नमस्ते टू ऑल।
नमस्ते नमस्ते अर्जुन जी। स्वागत है। कैसे हैं आप?
नमस्ते, आप कैसे हैं?
एकदम बढ़िया एकदम
या
बढ़िया। जी नमस्ते भैया। नमस्ते अनिल भैया। नमस्ते।
नमस्ते। अभी शुरू करेंगे।
हाँ हाँ भैया, शुरू कर सकते हैं जी।
हाँ। So we've seen our basic aspiration to be in continuous happiness and prosperity, and then we also saw that happiness is to be in harmony. Um, Now, when we try to see what exactly this translates into in our day-to-day life, then we see that um, since the family is the basic building block, then we try to first understand harmony in the human being as human being coexistence of self and body, and then once we see that, then we try to expand that and see in the family, and um, we go step by step so that we can expand from where we are to the whole nature and existence. And the process is via self exploration. So it is something which we have to see within ourselves rather than just looking at the proposal and then accepting it to be true or accepting it to be false. Rather than that, the process is to explore it within yourself and verify it on the basis of natural acceptance, not on the basis of your likes or dislikes or what other people may say or any other previous information. So we are verifying it based on our own natural acceptance, which is innate to all of us, and then we are making some conclusion. And many times we don't know the answer, but if we don't know, then we keep it open so that there is possibility of knowing. Because if we keep it open, then we are uh, in the frame of mind that we don't know. So that is the scope for learning, because if you don't know something, only then you feel like trying to figure out what the actual answer would be, or what is actually being said. So if something is already known, then if we are 100% sure about it and we verified it on the basis of our natural acceptance, then that is the state of knowing. And if we just assume something based on preconditioning, or based on sensation, or based on any other thing which is not based on natural acceptance, then we will be always in an assumption, and then that assumption may keep changing from time to time based on what inputs come to us. So you can see that if we try to take everything through this filter, through natural acceptance, then we'll be able to easily see what the real picture is. So last time we had discussed that the family is the basic unit or building block, and then a collection of families becomes society. So when we say society, many times we think of it as society is something different and family is something different. But if we see, family is just um, a collection of human beings, and society is just a collection of families. So um, to live in the relationship with the society, with nature, with other members of the family, it is very important to understand the nine feelings and understand relationship as a whole, like the nine feelings. So without understanding that, it is always going to be something which is fragile. The relationship cannot be strong because the first foundation, if we see, is of trust. So without trust, the foundation is not there. So there'll always be doubt on the intention of the other. Or even if it comes once in a while, if there's a doubt on intention, then it can spoil the relationship. So that's why we say that trust is the foundation value. And when we see what exactly relationship is, it is between oneself and another self, and there are feelings in the relationship. Those feelings are those nine feelings, and there are other feelings which are just like you have the last time I think there was a question about the feelings being more than nine because there are some what do you call negative feelings, but actually those negative feelings are just the absence of these nine feelings. So for example, jealousy is a negative feeling, but we are focusing on the nine feelings which can strengthen the relationship, and the ones which have names outside of those are just like when we're talking about the negative ones, they are just the absence of the actual feelings that are there within us. It's not a separate feeling, it's just that since some of these are missing, they lead to a different feeling. So that's what those are. And when we fulfill these nine feelings, then it leads to mutual happiness, happiness of um, ourself and happiness of the other person who we're sharing it with. And we can also see that we can develop these nine feelings within ourselves, and even without another person in front of us, we can have these nine feelings within ourselves. And similarly, if we don't have these feelings within ourselves, then whether there's another person or not, we cannot be happy. So um, we can see that our happiness is in our own hands actually. So this is what we discussed last time. So we can ask this question, and like, who is recognizing the relationship? Is it the self or the body? And who is having the feelings in the relationship, the self or the body? So you can write in the chat who is having the feelings in the relationship, the self or the body. If there's any comment also or question or something, we can discuss. So far, if there's any thing which anyone would like to share or like to discuss, we can open it for that. And if there are some in the chat, we can see that it is very clear that the feelings are in the self. So we can differentiate, I mean, we can distinguish between the self and the body, and then we can clearly see that the feelings are in the self, and the body is just used to express the feelings. So, like for example, if we are saying namaste, or we are saying hello, or we have a feeling within ourselves, then we are just expressing the feeling through the body. But the feelings are not in the body, the feelings are in the self. So we just use the body as an instrument. So the body is always used as an instrument to do what the self tells it to do, or to kind of do whatever the self is having in, like whatever is there in the self is executed through the body. So even relationship, it is between oneself and another self. So when we assume that the relationship is between one body and the other body, then that is what leads to some of the problems also, that we are not really looking at the other as another self, we start looking at them as another body. So when that happens, then there is more confusion, and there's more kind of It's a confusing state when we are in that state. So if we are very clear that the relationship is between oneself and the other self, then we don't pay as much attention to the body as much as like we don't over evaluate the role of the body. We focus more on the relationship between oneself and the other self, because that's what it is actually. And we are related to each other whether we understand it or not. This is like we can see that we all have the same natural acceptance. By now we've done some experiments here also, and then we've seen also that um, when we ask questions related to our natural acceptance, then everyone gives the same answer. And that is because it is a universal thing. It's not dependent on different people's tastes or likes or preferences or that way. It is dependent on what is innate inside us. So we can see that natural acceptance is universal, and therefore um, we have a feeling of being related to everyone else, even though we might feel that everyone else may not have the same feeling, but deep down we all have that feeling. So we are actually related to everyone, and we may or may not see it that way, but we can kind of explore and ask this question that would you want to be would you want to have a feeling of being related to everyone else, or would you like to have a feeling of opposition to everyone else and related, and you want to feel related only to a few people, like family members or friends? So this question also we can ask that, would you prefer to be having that feeling for everyone, or having the feeling of relatedness only for a few people, like only family members and only certain friends and so on? That also you can answer in the chat. Like you can just say um, related to all or related to a few people, which one is naturally acceptable. And when we say related to all, it doesn't mean that we have to take care of everyone. Care is related to the body, right? We are saying if you have a feeling of being related to all, that means you're kind of when you see another person, then you feel related to the other person, and therefore you try to like you treat them as someone who you can talk to and who you know. And then whoever you come across that way, you always have the same feeling. Like you don't have a different feeling when you come across different people. So even though in practice we are not, many of us are not at the stage where we have the same feeling towards everyone regardless of what they do or their competence and all that. But we can see that if we have the right feeling towards the other person, then it makes a big difference. And um, like the way the other person responds also changes based on our feeling. So if we have a genuine good feeling towards everyone else who we see, then that can really change our own mood also, our own not mood actually. It can lead to a lot of things within us also. So what we call as harmony, that is that can be realized by that feeling. Like when we have that feeling for everyone, that feeling of love and compassion, then we are like at the last we are at the end point of relationship. When we are at trust, then we are at the beginning, which is the foundation, and when we are at love, we are at the end point. That's why it's called the complete value. So we can just explore within our own situations, like what where we are at, and whether we are differentiating between one set of people and another set of people based on who is part of family, who is part of friends, who is part of strangers, or do we have the same feeling for everyone? This can be explored, and all of us can just explore, like just think back about what we've been doing, and then also try to visualize what would happen if you had the same feeling for everyone. You may not like you may not have to, I mean, like, you may not talk to everyone, or you may not see everyone because there are so many billions of people. But even sitting in my room, I can have a positive feeling for everyone, and that itself will make me feel happy, because I'll suddenly feel more comfortable. On the other hand, just imagine the situation where I'm sitting in my room and then I feel that everyone outside my room is my enemy. Then automatically I have a feeling of fear, and I have a lot of negative emotions because of that. And when we look at natural acceptance, we can see that we are all similar. We are related to each other. We have the same potential. We have the same program. We want the same things. We want happiness and we want prosperity and their continuity. So when we see it that way, we see that we are all similar. So when we see that we are all similar, that automatically makes us feel comfortable also. So can you see that? Like, can you visualize that? If yes, you can write yes. If no, you can write no, and then we can discuss also. If anyone wants to give any comment on that or share any situation based on that.
Namaste, Arjun. I'm Priya.
Namaste.
Like you told, no, we have that bond to everyone. Like I still remember once when I was traveling for almost from my hometown to another place for some training, and it was around 4 hour journey. So I met one person. I don't know him. He was just sitting opposite to me. Slowly the conversation started, and 4 hours we had a very very good talk, very close talk. I was feeling that he's somebody close to me, but I'm meeting that person for the first time. We didn't even take the numbers after that. Also, in the talk, we found out we had studied in the same college, but he was 4 5 years senior to me. We were from the same hometown also, but we some that we are what you call um, that trust is there in all the people. So that you told, we don't need to be like need not talk uh, in the process of our life. We meet many people, but sometimes we meet for a few time, but we have a good relationship, and then we might forget also.
Right.
So a lot of things I learned from him. He shared his experience, so a lot of things I have learned from him. So it's a good thing.
Right.
But if you're not talking, if you feel he's a stranger and like that, then you won't, that relationship will not be there, no.
Exactly. Relationship is there, but then we'll not be like, from our side we are not open to
We are
uh,
not open.
yeah.
Yeah, but we learn so many things when we travel. We meet people. It's just only for that time we meet, and then we'll never meet again in the life, but we learn so many things from them.
Right. And there's also a certain kind of category of people who we can trust on their intention, but then we cannot trust on the basis of the competence, because like some like this question always comes up, right, that there are thieves and there are these kind of people who do murder and all these kind of people. So when we are dealing with such kind of people, then we just look at what is their intention. Their
Yeah.
intention is to, like, whatever they're doing out of some preconditioning or some mindset which may not be correct. So like, suppose they want to murder somebody, then his goal might be to get some money for their family and, you know uh, live properly in their family. But then he might also have a preconditioning or a mindset that it's okay to kill somebody. So if you have a mindset If you have a preconditioning like that and then you make a choice like this, then it feels right for that person. But when you look at the actual intention of his intention is to feed his family or something, but his method is not right, so that means his competence is lacking in understanding. So lack of understanding is the main issue. So when we look at it this way, then we can see that the intention may be right, but then because he doesn't have the competence, then we have to be careful, and uh, we cannot trust this kind of a person on his competence. We can trust only on the basis of intention. So this
Okay.
category of people is also there. So
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
mention.
yeah, yeah.
So we are
Uh,
not saying to blindly trust on the competence, because that would be kind of a mistake, because sometimes people may cheat or do something. So what we are saying is to trust on the basis of intention. So look at the intention of the person, which even the other person may not see directly at that point of time. Like that thief or murderer also has the intention to be happy and prosperous and continuously happy and prosperous. But since he doesn't know the method, the right method, and he doesn't have the right understanding, and he doesn't have the understanding about relationship either, he thinks it's okay to kill somebody. Because of all this lack of understanding, he's making certain choices which are not the right choices. So when we look at it this way, then we try to help the other. And if it is a dangerous situation for us, then we don't do that also. But I mean, we can see that we can still have the right feeling for such kind of people also.
mm,
It is hard because we are seeing that they're doing all these crimes and all that, but then at the same time, it is possible to look at it from this point of view and see that we are also making lots of mistakes. Maybe not as drastic as a thief or murderer, but then we are also making so many mistakes because of our lack of understanding. So it is just like another case of that, which is more severe. But at the end, it just comes down to that lack of understanding. So then when you feel that you have more understanding than the other, then you automatically feel like helping the other if you feel related to him. If you feel in opposition, then you feel like you're against him, so then you don't try to help. And even if you feel that you want to help him, many times it is a dangerous situation, so then you don't help. But then you still have the right feeling. So what I'm getting to is that we can always have the right feeling regardless of the other person, or
yeah,
regardless of the other person's behavior. So this is another point.
yeah, yeah. Even the hardcore criminals, they have a good mind, but because of the circumstance, they are doing all those things. Yeah,
And that is not the right thing. What they're doing is not right,
it's not
of
the right
course,
thing.
but we can still have a good feeling for them, because we can look at it from this point of view that they are also like us in terms of their natural acceptance, in terms of uh, their basic aspiration of happiness and prosperity.
Yeah,
It's just that they lack the understanding, so that's why they lack understanding to a larger extent than us, and that's why they're making such drastic mistakes, and all this is happening.
yeah,
So another conclusion from that is that education, if this is there in their education, then automatically all those things will become less, because people will start understanding all these things and then working towards the right thing rather than doing the wrong thing. So anyone else would like to share any experience, or uh, just any question or anything about relationship and about trust?
Yeah, sir, good evening.
Good
Myself,
evening.
Uma Maheshwar. Sir, adding to this, your discussion in continuation to that, uh, if anything is happens by mistakenly, then we have to give some time for again, come out from that situation. Like one of my student who has graduated, by mistakenly in the company. She is working in software company. Now she did a mistake, and for that mistake, she was terminated from that organization. But she has realized after that what she did a mistake, that is copying a codes, and it is the company has taken that is a termination. It's such a big I think it is a punishment like that. Penalizing the company has penalized the termination from the job. Now there is a lots of hopes on family and all these things. Then she come out of from that situation. How could I, or how we have to be convinced again? She has to be come in normal mode.
Yeah, so we can look at it from this point of view, that why she did that. It'll probably be that she wanted to copying code in exam or in a company, I don't know, but anyway, like either she wants to get more marks in the exam, or she wants to if it is a company thing, maybe she wants to earn more money by doing something which is not by the rules. So why does she want to earn more money, or why does she want to get a better rank in the test, whatever it may be? We can look at that and then try to relate that with uh, her natural, I mean, like basic aspiration, and see where it is going wrong. Like the basic aspiration is of happiness and prosperity, but the mistake she's making is trying to get more of either money or more of better grade in the exam, which might give a better job or whatever it may be. It is coming down to the same thing, that the aspiration is pure, the natural acceptance is pure, but the mistake is happening because of lack of understanding of how to fulfill that aspiration. So if you have a aspiration of happiness, we are all making one mistake of which is, I mean, most of us are making the same mistake of trying to get happiness from outside, not from within. So we are all making all these kinds of mistakes, but it becomes more drastic when it goes against the rules of the society also. So this is just one of those kind of cases where it has gone against the society also. So we just talk to her and say that, this was your basic aspiration, this is our basic aspiration also, so that at that level we are the same, and we also have the same purpose, the same potential, all this is also the same. But when we go to fulfill these aspirations, then what do we do? What is our process of fulfilling those aspirations? And over there, are we making any kind of mistakes? If we are making, then how do we correct those mistakes? And whatever has already happened, that cannot be changed, but then how can we compensate for those mistakes and go forward? So this kind of thing can be discussed, but we can always bring it back to the root, that what we wanted is happiness. What we got is, we got thrown out of the company or thrown out of the college. So that was not what we wanted. We wanted happiness. So that shows that our method was not correct. For sure, our method was not correct. So how do we um, you know have a better method to fulfill these aspirations? So we go back to the same thing, that we want happiness and we want prosperity. So for happiness, we work on right understanding, and for prosperity we work on getting physical facility, but then only after we know how much we need. So we identify how much we need and then work towards getting how much we require. There's no point of accumulating more than what we require. I mean, like, to some extent you have more only for sharing, but then you have a definite amount. So all this discussion can lead to some clarity. So that's how you would go about it, and whatever damage has been done, that has to be compensated for also. So along with this, then you go further, so that the people who had taken you out of the company start accepting you. So you have to make a lot of effort, special effort, for that to happen, but then it is possible that way.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, sir. Convinced.
Yeah, thank you. Anything else or any comment? Any? So when we don't understand relationship, then it doesn't mean that it's gone. Like if there are strangers sitting in the train and we don't talk to them, it doesn't mean that we're not related to them. It just means that we're not able to see the relationship. So when we're not able to see the relationship, then we feel like um, we are different from the other. So the other person is totally different. He might have different aspirations. He might have different things going on and all that. So we start to become like we feel like we are separate from the other. So rather than that, if we are able to see that we are related, then we might not even talk to them, but then we still have a feeling of being related. So can you see that, like the difference between feeling of relatedness and feeling of opposition or feeling of indifference where we don't feel related to the other? Regardless of whether we talk to the other or not, we can have a feeling of being related to the other, and we can have that understanding very clear that we want to make the other happy, the other wants to make us happy. And then we look at the competence also, that are we able to make ourselves happy, and are we able to make the other happy? So in trust, we always discuss that we are many times relating our competence, I mean, our intention with the other person's competence. So rather than that, we have to kind of uh, judge the other on the same level as where we are judging us. Like if we are saying our intention was good, but we made a mistake, then we should also see that from the other person's point of view also, that their intention was good, but they made a mistake. And vice versa, that if we are we have the right intention also, and we have the competence to do the right thing also, then we can see that sometimes we do the right thing, we are able to do the right thing, sometimes we are not able to do. So the same thing may happen with the other person also, that the other person also might have the right intention, but might not have the ability to like the competence to fulfill that intention. So it might come out in action as something different. So this should be very clear so that we kind of um, are able to understand the other also, and understand ourselves and the other, and then have mutual trust. So the crux of this whole thing is that the major crisis we are facing in the relationship is because of the failure to understand the self and the feelings in the self. Because we are assuming ourselves to be body and trying to fulfill all the things based on the body. So even though we might have the right intention for the other person also and for us also, if we have this kind of a misunderstanding that we are body, then everything goes different. Like our whole mindset is different, because we start assuming that we are body, then we try to fulfill relationship on the basis of body only. So if we try to fulfill on the basis of body, it doesn't really work, because it is going to be superficial, because the body is not really the one that has the feelings. The feelings are in the self. So that's why this question was asked a little bit before, that are the feelings in the body or in the self? And if they are in the self, then then why are we trying to assume that the relationship can be fulfilled by body? So that doesn't really work. Like we can give an example that sometimes if a parent comes home late from work, and then they give a gift to the child because they're late from work and they want to compensate with a physical facility, then it may work for a couple of days, or it may work for some time. But then after that, the child starts expecting the gift, and then after that, that doesn't really improve the relationship. The child starts to like the gifts, but not worry about the parent. So it leads to a lack of that feeling of relationship in the child also. The child starts getting more into the physical facilities rather than the relationship with the parent. So all those things really don't work. If we try to fulfill the relationship on the basis of body, then it will always lead to some or the other side effect. It won't really go right, because it can never really like the self has the feeling, so the body cannot really the needs of the self are different, needs of the body are different. So needs of the self of those 9 feelings cannot come by giving a physical facility for satisfying the needs of the body. So is this very clear? Because this is an important point actually. If it is clear, very clear, you can write yes. If not, we can say no, and then we can discuss further. And if anyone likes to share also about some experience related to this, like
Anisa Didi, namaste. Hello, हाँ अर्जुन जी, आप हमें सुन पा रहे हैं? हेलो अर्जुन भैया.
I think it got disconnected. We are trying to reconnect.
Yeah, got a bit network issue perhaps sometime, but अब कनेक्टेड हैं जी. वॉइस क्लियर आ रही है आपकी. आप स्क्रीन शेयर करेंगे जी.
Screen.
जी.
We're just trying to connect the screen, but meanwhile we can discuss about where we were. I don't know where it got cut off. I think just when we were talking about the feelings in the relationship.
Yes.
Yeah. So if anyone would like to share about any experience or what has what they've been through, like situations, then we can look at some practical examples of these things. So it would be nice if someone could share about that. Anyone there to share?
Moreover, Arjun, let me just ask if all are able to hear, because I can see a number of chats wherein some of them are expressing that they are not able to hear. So could you please, a request for
We
all
can
to
hear, ma'am.
please.
We can hear. I'm Priya. It's audible.
Nice,
Okay,
because
we are going to connect the screen also shortly, but
Between
I think it will take 5 minutes.
went off, but now it is very audible. Only we are not
now
able to
it's
see the screen.
right. It was not audible at my end also for a while. So now it's fine.
Okay.
Now it's fine, ma'am.
Yes.
So we
Nice.
can just, if anyone would like to share about their experience or something
Can
related.
you explain that it is not a self and the relationship, no, with examples that self is it's not the body.
Like example of what? Example that the feelings are in the self.
Relationship, it is with the self, not with the body.
Yeah.
So if you're doing with the body, it won't be correct. That no, with some examples.
Like we can first explore where our feelings are. Like, are we able to see if our feelings are in the self or in the body?
Feelings are in the self.
So when we want to express these feelings also, we would express from ourself to the other self, right?
Yeah, but that feelings we are expressing through the body. Means the other person can see only through the actions in the body, no?
Right.
Otherwise, if we keep it in our mind, we won't be able to see. Even if we have a good feeling to the other person, we need to express through our body, no?
Yeah, if you are, so that's why you may not, like when we say that we have a feeling of being related to all, then that doesn't mean that we have to express that feeling to all, because we won't be able to meet those 7 billion people anyway. But what we're saying is that if you have a feeling of being related to the other person, then whoever comes across in your way, like in your whole life, whoever you come across, whoever you actually meet or whoever you talk to, you will start having this feeling of relatedness. And
that is there.
Yeah.
But to the close family members, we should show it out, no? We must be having good feelings, but we need to express it. Otherwise, there are many people, they might have we have seen in the previous generation, parents, they are very related to, they don't show the feelings outside.
Right.
Much, but it's not, but actually they have to show the feelings, no?
It depends. If the other person is able to understand it without the expression also, then it works. But if the other person is not able to understand your feeling without your expression, then it is good to express so that the other person also is able to understand.
I'm a person, I don't express much, but my partner always tell you need to express it. Okay. So sometimes the other persons want us to express it in close relationships.
So from person to person, that depends on like how much sensitivity also the person has, in which case, like if a person is very, very sensitive, then he'll be able to understand what feeling you have inside you without even talking to you, like that. And if the person is not at all sensitive, then even if you express also a lot, then the person may not understand your feeling. So the wide variation is there between all the people and their level of their understanding.
Okay, I understood.
So we can show concern for the other. That is there. That is always there. That we can show concern, as in try to make the other person feel comfortable in your presence, and also try to make them feel that you care about them. Like make them feel like you are concerned about them.
Okay, Arjun, thank you.
And that also happens automatically. Once you have the feeling, then all this comes along with that same feeling. Naturally, it starts coming. And on the other hand, there's this situation also where you might have not such a nice feeling towards somebody, but you try to express in such a way that you are trying to make the other person feel good, but then you actually don't have that feeling. And even that, if the person is very sensitive, then they'll come to know that it is like a fake thing going on. So both sides are possible. And what we're trying to say is that when you have the right feeling, then automatically all these things will happen. So yeah, there's one more hand raised. Dr. Vaishali.
Uh, good evening to all.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah. Arjun Bhaiya, what I want to say that just now you said ki only sensitive person can react or express themselves, but I feel always not like this. Some
No. I said a sensitive person may be able to understand the other person's feeling without them expressing.
okay, but they are not expressive.
Hey, I'm saying like many sensitive people are able to understand the other person's feelings without the other person even saying anything.
Yeah, but always not like this.
That is, if the person is sensitive enough to be able to, get those feelings, because it doesn't have to be through words. But
Yeah, always not. And
for
in
most of the people, they are not so sensitive to get the feelings always like that. So many times it's good to express also. So depending on who we are talking to, we will have a different mode of expressing and how much we express.
Arjun, the word sensitive, that what you meant sensitive means a person who is understanding, like who is who knows everything. He can understand how even if the other person doesn't talk, show the feelings. He has a this thing. This sensitive, what Madam meant was, there are some people who get upset with even the small things, very small. They're very sensitive people,
Okay, that way.
That's what she meant. The other sensitive means one who knows everything, competent enough. What you meant was, I think, competent enough.
Actually, they're both related. If you see that the person who gets upset also very easily, I mean, because of those kind of things, small issues like that, they are sensitive to those issues. And
but they are not competent enough. No, those who are very sensitive
may or may not be.
One who is competent enough, we don't. A person is very competent enough. Even if you don't express, also they will understand it.
Right.
But if it is not, some people are very sensitive. We have to be very careful when we talk to them.
Right.
They get upset very fast. So those people, they sometimes we need to we need to show the affection and all those things.
Right. And in that case, mostly the thing is that they are expecting the feeling from the other, and if they don't get it, then they might feel bad about it.
They might feel bad. Yeah.
Most of the time, in close relations, means like husband, wife, or daughter, son. So what happens? Most of the time, we are not expressing what we feel. Ki it is always there. So why to express?
Right.
But in some people's case, what happens? They needed the expressions. They want that expression from others.
Correct. So everyone has a different threshold of how much they expect in terms of feeling from the other person, right? And also, we can say that when everything is running fine, then sometimes we might not know whether the other people are feeling happy or not being in the family, like what their feelings are. Sometimes it's good to ask and express so that we know what is going on in the other people's feelings also, like what is the state of those feelings, so that we get an idea. Sometimes we don't know also what the other person may be thinking or what feelings they're having inside them.
Nowadays, due to this mobile only, we needed more expressions, I feel, because in the old age, when mobiles are not there, इतना expression नहीं होता था. It is underline रहता था कि हाँ ये time पे होने वाला है, ये ऐसे ऐसे. So that time, this type of expression, both less, both ही कम थे.
Right. So it depends on the person also who we're expressing to. It depends majorly on that person, because from person to person it may differ based on how sensitive they are. Like sensitive, as in, what I'm saying as sensitive is their attention to those feelings, how they're able to perceive those feelings in other people, the fineness of the detail, that sensitivity I'm talking about. So it depends on from person to person.
Thank you, Bhaiya.
Thank you.
Arjun, we can go ahead if there is no questions.
Yeah. So these are the 9 feelings: trust, respect, affection, care, guidance, reverence, glory, gratitude, and love. So we already did one round of this, but then we thought that since it is good to like talk about it again and then look at it from different angles and see, we'll do it again. So we can identify them and see them as how they happen in our life. So when we see a natural acceptance, you can answer these questions and see, like, for yourself what answer you get, and then we can just see if we are all getting the same answer or not. It might look like the question doesn't make sense because everybody might have the same answer, but then that's the thing with natural acceptance, that it is so obvious that um, you know there is, what we actually want is very clear. Only thing is, our method of working towards and fulfilling these feelings is not right. So that's why we are having a problem. Our intention is to have these feelings, and our intention is to share these feelings also, but our method is not clear. So that's why we are kind of going round and round and not really going to the end point, working towards progress towards the end point, which is love. So we can just explore this, and in the chat you can write if you are getting yes to all or no to some of the things, so we can see in this group also if that really works or not, if natural acceptance is universal or it is dependent on people's likes and dislikes. Like, for example, we have a natural acceptance to be healthy. Everyone wants to be healthy, but we might also have we also have a natural acceptance to be happy, right? We have these both. And then we might have an assumption that eating junk food will make us happy. Somebody might have an assumption like that, not everybody. So that is not universal. But we can see that this is universal. We want to be healthy and we want to be happy. These two are very clearly universal as our natural acceptance. But we have, somebody might have an assumption that eating junk food will make them happy, and then that's why they eat junk food. So then this conflicts with their natural acceptance, but then they suppress their natural acceptance, and then they do it anyway because they want to get that happiness out of that food for that point of time. And then later on they might feel that they shouldn't have had it, or later on they might feel that it's okay once in a while, or some different thoughts might come after that. But then when we look at natural acceptance, it's very clear that we want to be healthy and we want to be happy. So when the happiness thing goes over our health, that means when our health is already good, in good shape, then we kind of ignore it, we take it for granted, and then we work on we eat the junk food because we feel that it will give us happiness. We have this assumption, and it does also. It gives a little bit of happiness for a few moments, and then it goes away. So this is an example where we are suppressing our natural acceptance. So even though our natural acceptance is guiding us in the right way, we are suppressing it by um, by our assumptions. And the reason we are doing that is because we expect to get happiness from these things, and that's why we do it. And then after a long time we may realize that all these things give us only temporary happiness, and they are like very superficial in comparison to the actual happiness which you get from harmony. So this is one more thing which you can explore. Like wherever you are making a decision, you can ask your natural acceptance what would be the right thing to do, and then you can see if you're actually doing that or not, and then why you're doing the other choice. Sometimes you'll be doing the right choice, sometimes you'll be doing the wrong choice. So when you're making the right choice, then also you can explore if your choice is coming from natural acceptance or not. And if you're making the wrong choice, also you can explore that if it's not coming from natural acceptance, is it coming because you expect happiness out of that choice? So this is one more thing which you can explore. And any comments on this also we can discuss now. Like the food is one example. We can give so many examples like this. Like we can say that that example which we took earlier also about a bigger car, the neighbor having a bigger car or something. Does that lead to jealousy, or does that lead to affection? Or what happens basically when if the neighbor buys a bigger car and you are very clear about what your needs are in terms of prosperity, then what happens? And what happens when you're not so clear, and when you're basing it on preconditioning or basing it on the other person? Like if the other person has a bigger car, the neighbor, then how does that relate to, like, why do you need to feel jealous about the other person? I mean, like, what is happening inside? What is our natural acceptance? Is our natural acceptance for affection or jealousy? This we can explore. And then we can see that, do we expect that if we have a bigger car, we'll be happier? If yes, then that will lead to jealousy. So you can just, always analyze things like this through your natural acceptance and then see what comes out of it. And whatever choice you make, you can always check your natural acceptance before finalizing the decision, so that you're always in a state where you have harmony. Whenever you take a decision from your natural acceptance, you will be in a state of harmony. So if there's anything on that you like to talk about, you can raise your hand and we can just discuss, or anything in the chat also you want to add to that, or share any experience or ask something, then we can take that up also. It's almost time, so we can probably take one discussion or one question or something, and then we can close it. Mr. Chandrasekhar.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Good evening,
no,
sir.
Fine.
Sir, is it possible to increase the sensitivity by forgiving the people?
Forgiving also, like, it means that you've for forgiving, as in what is your feeling? We can see first. Do you have a feeling of being related to the other person? First, we can see that. Because by forgiveness, we are saying that the other person has made a mistake and we let it go, kind of.
Forgive.
Yeah, forgive. So better than forgiving
Yeah,
and
yeah.
letting it
If
go
we give,
is to try to
if
help
we
the
give
other
some
person.
time, some space,
Right.
they may realize after if we forgive.
Right. And if we are able to help them,
Whether that,
then it is even better, right?
yeah.
Like we forgive and let that matter go, and then we try to work on increasing the other person's competence in whatever he's doing.
Okay.
Like suppose somebody has made a mistake as copying in the exam or something, then we try to see the other person's intention first, that maybe that person feels that he's not competent enough to do it without cheating, so then he does cheating. So then we try to help that person improve his competence so that he doesn't need to do cheating in the exam. So this kind of thing can also do. Like if we just forgive and let it go, then we're not helping the other person to improve their competence. So we can do both. We can forgive that person for his mistake, and then also we can help that person to.
Mistakes mean.
Yeah, we can forgive him for the mistake, and then we can help him to improve his competence for the future, so that he'll not make that mistake also.
Oh, yeah, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes. Sir, the question about the trust was there, that
Right.
in many of the games since the childhood that we participate, in majority of the games, there is a fun element of deceiving others. In majority of the schoolish kind of games. And there, instead of having coexistence, we have that indirect training that how you can beat others, how you can be competitive. And then
Right.
in that case, actually our upbringing has come because of this particular thing. And then it maintains when we become adult, and we always keep on having that particular habit exposed to the other persons. So
Right.
having a basic value of trust is actually the reason of many conflicts throughout our life thereafter.
But trust is not the issue over there. The issue is that we are treating the other as separate, and then we are trying to be better than the other in some or the other aspect. So that is
Perfect.
not about trust. That is about trying to feel that we are different from the other, not similar to the other, but different from the other. And that's why we want to be better than the other in some aspect. Maybe games, or maybe studies, or maybe job, or maybe like amount of money earned, or these kind of aspects. Any aspect it could be. But then the basic problem in this is that we are trying to be better than the other in some aspect, or higher than the other, superior than the other, superior to the other. So when we have that kind of a thing, then automatically we lose that feeling of similarity between each other, and we start differentiating each other.
Correct,
So when
sir.
that happens, then the relationship cannot really be built that way. So so in the society, that mindset is also prevalent, and that's why it becomes a part of our preconditioning. Over the years, we are experiencing that mindset, which is ingrained inside us through certain activities and all. And then that is leading to that strong mindset, that strong preconditioning. So to break these preconditionings, we have to always refer to our natural acceptance and see whether we want that competition or we want to have collaboration. And if we want to have collaboration, then we have to work for it also. Like, because in the current system, there is less provision of that, and there is more focus on the competition, because everybody wants to be one step ahead of the other. So because that mindset is very strong, then we have to make a lot of effort to first of all understand what we really want, what is naturally acceptable to us. And then if we want that to have a widespread effect on more people in the society, then more people have to have that right understanding. So as a teacher, you have the perfect kind of position to start that process with students, and you have more reach than say the people who are in other professions. So in that sense, you are also lucky. All the teachers are lucky because they have the scope to do this kind of a thing, like the scope to change the overall mindset of the society. Like, you can just imagine that in so many colleges, if this program is happening all over India, AICTE is doing all over India, then we can imagine that over some time, like 20-30 years, there can be a drastic change, because all the people who are students right now will end up being, many of them will end up being the policy makers also.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So even though the current situation is not very favorable, like the current mindset of competition is very strong from our childhood, as you are mentioning. That is true also. And we cannot do anything immediately like that, because there's no magic button. If we press, it will change. But over time, it is possible to do if we are working on it consistently and trying to develop that right understanding with whoever we come in contact with. So it is a slow process, but overall change in society will happen like that only. But from our side, we can see that are we able to break that preconditioning for ourselves? And if yes, then we can start working on sharing that actual understanding with more people.
Yeah, perfectly right, sir. Actually, this particular universal human values itself is one of the best gift that I have had. And at the age of 51, I'm feeling like I have got solution to many of my problems. So stress level has definitely dropped down because of this valuable input, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
That's very nice. And more and more as we go into it, we realize that right understanding is the solution to our happiness.
Yes, sir. Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir.
We may assume many things are the solution to our happiness, but then when we try them and we see that they don't work, then we get a little bit confused, and then we we try to keep exploring which thing will give us happiness. And then after going round and round, then we come to know that clarity of thought and that right understanding is actually the solution to many of our issues which we have.
Yes, sir. Perfectly right, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. We'll close 8:35. So we'll meet next Wednesday.
Yes, Arjun. It was a nice discussion that went on.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yes, we'll be meeting again next Wednesday, and we'll be continuing with the discussion on the various feelings in self. Until then, thank you all for taking out time to be a part of this follow-up session, and happy exploration throughout the week, so that we can discuss very many things and share our takeaways and whatever we come across in our daily living, and if we can really experientially validate some of the proposals discussed herein. So nice, thank you. And we'll request Parikshit Bhaiya to close the session now, and we'll be meeting again next Wednesday. But of course, Friday we have, yes, Arjun?
No, yeah, Friday we have the health
session.
Session.
Friday we have the holistic health session. So that's another thing wherein we can all join in and get many of our health related issues resolved and discussed in that session. So we'll request Parikshit Bhaiya to please close the session.
जी दीदी. Namaste sabhi ko.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste. And thank you, Arjun.
Thank you all.